Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Core Studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, I'm going to be talking about some absolute steals for you. And in this first section, 50 cents or less right now. I can't believe Buried Alive is right here. Source for 3 mana in black. Search life for the 3 creature cards, put them in your graveyard, then shuffle. If you are looking for any kind of a graveyard tutor, this is a bomb in the right deck. 3 mana for 3 tutors, that is huge. If you've got a Reanimator deck, if you got a deck that cares about the number of creatures in your graveyard, certain creatures in your graveyard, this thing is absolutely huge. So much value to be had. Speaking of value, Quasi-Duplicate. Source for 3 mana in blue. Create tokens, copy a target creature you control. Jumpstart it so you can recast out of your graveyard for the same cost by also discarding a card. This is huge. Being able to take advantage of certain things like ETBs on your creatures. Creatures with certain triggers, activated abilities. Just getting 2 big beaters in play as well. That is nice. But yes, being able to take advantage of populate effects too. There's certain types of decks out there that just really hum really well with creature tokens, copies of creatures, and yeah, it's a great card for those types of strategies. Make sure you're considering this one. Again, a double clone effect. Then there's Corpshack Menace. Speaking of doubling, 4/4 Fungus for 4 mana and Golgari. If 1 or more +1 counters we put on a creature control, twice that many are put out instead. This is massive. If you have any kind of +1 counter synergies in your deck, this doubles them up. If you've got commanders that care about counters, absolutely huge. One of the most popular archetypes out there right now, +1 counters. This is a huge slam dunk card in those decks, and it's very budget friendly right now, just 47 cents. Finally, I gotta point out Door to Nothingness. If you've been waiting for this janky card to be budget friendly, just 22 cents right now. Artifact for 5, enters tap, pay double Wooburg. That's right, white, white, blue, blue, black, black, red, red, green, green. Tap, sacrifice it. Target player loses the game. It's a spicy way to take out one of your friends, and they're gonna see it coming, but if they can't stop it, they're gonna be gone. I love that it's just 22 cents right now. A great finisher for you. Next up, our next segment is going to be less than $1, or $1 or less, I should say. Hardened Scales is right there at $1. Enchantment for a single green mana. If 1 or more counters are put on a creature you control, that many +1 additional counters are put instead. Kind of like a mini Corpshack Menace, but again, on an enchantment. Corpshack is great, but it is a creature, meaning it's more vulnerable to removal. Enchantments, in my opinion, are some of the hardest things to remove in Commander, or at least there's the least amount of things that do remove them typically played. So basically, this is one that you can get down incredibly early. Again, like turn 1, get it down. All of a sudden, you're doubling up single counter effects, and then you're also just getting extra value on the ones that give even more. So yeah, a great value for, again, +1 counter strategies out there. Next up, Flux Channeler, also great for counter strategies too. 98 cents right now. A 2/2 Human Wizard for 3 mana in blue. Maybe cast a non-creature spell, Proliferate, which again means you choose any number of permanents on our players, then give another counter. Another kind of counter, each counter there. Basically, you're just getting extra counters on things that have counters on them, okay? So basically, if a player has poison counters on them, be a generous person and say, you know what, I just cast a non-creature spell, take an extra poison counter. If your creatures have +1 counters on them, give them extra counters. Your opponent's creatures have -1 counters on them, give them extra of those counters. You're so generous. And of course, any other kinds of counters as well. Obviously, you can take advantage of this in many ways with many different types of decks out there. Next up, Creeping Renaissance. This card is huge in certain strategies out there. Source for 5 mana in green. Choose a permanent type, return all cards of the chosen type from your grave to your hand, flash it back as well. Self-mill strategies love this card because guess what? You mill in your graveyard, you can still use it again and bring a lot of things back out of your graveyard. Even if it's not a self-mill strategy, throughout the game, you're going to be losing things. Creatures, enchantments, artifacts, whatever your deck is built around, lands. All of a sudden, you get them all back in your hand. So much value to be had. On the opposite end of things, though, in Garrick's Wake, oh my goodness, finally back down to $1. Source for 9 mana in total in black. So creatures you don't control and all planeswalkers you don't control. Very simple, very effective. Yeah, it's 9 mana, but hey, we're in Commander. We've got ways to ramp. We got ways to get there. Wipe out all of your opponent's things. Your creatures are untouched. Your planeswalkers are untouched. They are just still in play, and all of a sudden, you're wide open. Your opponents are wide open, and you are ready to go take them out. Next up, though, this section has just missed my budget. Some of these are about twice as much as, you know, my normal budget of like $1 or so. So we've got Windfall, a crazy good card, one that I have not seen this one down to $1.98 in such a long time, underneath $2. Storage for 3 mana in blue. Each player discards their hand, then draws cards. Either the greatest number of cards a player discarded this way. That is massive. That is huge. This is a great way to say, hey, I don't really have a hand anymore. who's got a lot of cards? Hey, share the wealth, all right? Everyone's up to 7 now. Thank you. Or in like a wheels type strategy, yeah, just another amazing wheel essentially that can really take advantage of massive hand sizes, and milling opponents out is quite fun. Supreme Verdict, sorcery 4 mana in Azorius. The spell can't be counters for all creatures. If you need to make sure that you can wipe the board, this is a great way to do it, because you're like, okay, I've had too many times where I try to cast a Wrath of God and someone's like, no, I've got a good board position, I'm countering that. This says, nah, no countering, all right? This is going to go through no matter what. I need to wipe the board. I've got my control strategy. I'm ready to go. Let's take out everything. And yeah, I'm going to make sure that that doesn't happen, that you can counter it. Moving on, Chandra's Ignition. Speaking of board wipes, though, target creature control deals damage equals power to each other creature and each opponent. That is huge. That is massive. Keep in mind, it is the creature dealing out that damage. So, well, if you got like, infect on that creature, that's lovely. That's funny. You can actually take opponents out with that. You also can utilize, like lifelink type effects too. So do keep that in mind. Gaining a ton of life with that as well. Regardless though, if you just have a creature that has a lot of power, this is basically a one-sided board up. You're like, okay, wipe out all of your creatures. Sure, I wipe out my other ones too, but my giant creature doesn't care. And I hit all my opponents for a ton in the face. And then I'm wide open to swing right away at an opponent. What is not to love about that? Speaking of loving a card, though, we've got Time Stretch. Sorcery for 10 mana in blue. Target player takes 2 extra turns after this one. Yeah, that is a game-ending effect for $1.98. I mean, if 1 extra turn won't do it, 2 surely will, right? So yeah, this is a card that is great in any kind of strategy that can, well, utilize maybe some cost reduction, utilize other big spells, some big mana decks out there. Yeah, an extra turns dot strategy, of course. And of course, copy strategies as well. Decks that can copy this card and do it again and again and again. And actually keep in mind, this one does not exile when you cast it. So if you can recur it and bring it back to your hand, you're definitely going to win from there. There are so many ways to win with a card like this. I mean, just casting it once is basically like a I win the game type of effect. So that's absolutely huge. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. Make sure you comment below with your thoughts on it. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.